Hey guys, breaking down a round of Marcelo Garcia rolling with a really large opponent. I don't know the guy's name. Marcelo is playing butterfly guard, and he's going to come up and he's going to control this guy's left arm, stopping him from being able to actively post with it. And he's going to perform a butterfly sweep with the head and arm control. So he's got wrist control, moves up to the elbow, controls the head, performs the sweep. So right now he's got wrist control. He's going to move the hand to the elbow, and he's going to pinch his opponent's wrist in his armpit while he's controlling the elbow. And he's got the hand up at his opponent's neck, breaking posture, as well as shifting his center of gravity outside of his ability to base. Marcelo is now going to use the left butterfly hook to access the right leg as a lever to his opponent's hip to help multiply the force that he can generate to complete that sweep. Now this next bit that we're going to see as Marcelo is attempting to pass his opponent's guard, he's going to get swept from half guard, and we're going to talk about the ever exciting force vectors at play and why Marcelo ends up flat on his back after this exchange. So right now Marcelo is posted up with his hips high, driving his shoulder forward, trying to stay in strong control of his center of gravity while pressuring his opponent. As Marcelo looks to drop down onto his right hip here, he's going to lose the ability to base, and his opponent is going to drive up with a bit of a roll there. And he's going to end up flattening Marcelo out. So as Marcelo shifts his center of gravity, his opponent performs a bridge and roll. And so Marcelo's shoulders and hips are pointing in the same direction right now. We want to think of Marcelo's torso like a box. Right now Marcelo is posting on his right arm, and so that's reinforcing the right side of this box of his shoulders, keeping him upright. But the problem is that his opponent is actually going to be driving into the left side of Marcelo's body, because his opponent is going to be dropping his hips and moving around to that side. Because Marcelo doesn't have a post that way, that right shoulder, the left shoulder, sorry, is going to be accessed kind of like a lever to the torso, and it's going to drop him back. Marcelo recognizes this. This is why he posts both hands backwards, and he tries to switch to the other side. However, he's dealing with an opponent that's very strong. So now we can see, once again, this is the alignment of the shoulders. And now Marcelo is posting the left arm on the mat, which would be strong to reinforce any kind of force trying to drive down to that shoulder. However, his opponent is going to drive the weight back down into his elbow, which is now going to access the shoulders as a lever. And it's going to drop Marcelo's right shoulder down to the mat. Oh, that was a bitch to explain, so I hope that made sense. Fuck math. So now that Marcelo is flattened out onto his shoulders, he's going to look to build up onto his side again so that he can start building up onto his elbow, performing his collar tie escape sequence with his back rolls. So are you guys ready for more force vectors? I don't care. Let's look at this. Marcelo is properly turned this way. His chest is no longer pointing towards his opponent, so now his shoulders are in line with his frame, and now he can oppose the force regardless of how big and strong his opponent is. Now that Marcelo is in a strong position, he's waiting for his opponent to commit too much of their center of gravity and momentum into trying to push Marcelo's shoulders down to the mat, in which he's going to threaten with that back roll escape, or his opponent has to let go of the legs in order to try and move up the upper body. As Marcelo starts to free out, he starts to bring his hips out to the side, and he's hooking his opponent's right arm here and using his armpit to drop weight into the shoulder, which is helping break the posture of his opponent. Now, rather than trying to posture back up like a regular big strong guy would, his opponent actually reacts well and drops down to his hip and is now looking to try and take his back. But before he establishes cross-body rotational control, that is the rotational control of the left shoulder and the right hip, Marcelo was able to break free. So now within this engagement phase of Marcelo Garcia's butterfly guard, Marcelo is being extremely diligent working his grips, especially against larger, stronger opponents who also appear to be quite technical. We need to make sure that we are not giving them an inch, because they will run with that. Marcelo is going to control the head and arm again, and his opponent's going to make a mistake of committing a bit too much forward. And with that momentum and center of gravity that he gives Marcelo uses that to perform the exact same sweep that we saw earlier in the round. Marcelo, as usual, is keeping heavy pressure on his opponent, not allowing him to be able to sit up while he's looking to pressure with that knee cut or threaten with an X pass. His opponent is trying to block that knee right now, not allowing Marcelo to bring that right knee through to solidify the pass. But as Marcelo keeps his opponent's hands engaged, he's able to start moving through and actually finish the pass as his opponent makes a little small adjustment with his hip angle. His opponent's looking to try and keep Marcelo's weight down by his hips so that he has the option of always being able to build up onto his elbow, which we're going to see in a bit, and also have the power of his arms still to use against Marcelo. He's going to start pushing up against Marcelo's bicep, and as he does this, Marcelo's going to look to try and set up an armbar, but his opponent either tricked him or reacted appropriately really quickly. So here Marcelo is looking to start driving his right shin up into the armpit while he throws the left leg over his opponent's head. But there's a lot of range to cover here. His opponent is able to bring the elbow in. Marcelo falls down, losing base momentarily. His opponent builds up onto his elbow, tries to run, doesn't feel comfortable with it, and chooses to fall back down, hiding his back on the floor rather than having Marcelo take the back. Here, Marcelo is sitting up much higher. His opponent is unable to push Marcelo down towards his hips in the same way. And so this is where we're going to see Marcelo now be able to set up the guillotine choke. His opponent starts building up onto his elbow, and then that takes his arm out of the equation for defense. Marcelo is able to immediately go right into the high elbow guillotine and gets the finish. So, classic big guy move here. Tries to push against Marcelo, builds up onto his elbow. Now that head is completely exposed. With the chin not being super tucked, Marcelo is going to be able to thread that right arm through. And he's going to throw his left leg up and over top of his opponent's shoulder to make sure that that right arm can't engage in the hand fight very well, as well as create momentum that's going to help him be able to roll into mount rather than having to risk trying to finish it from bottom, which can always risk losing the position entirely. So not much else to talk about in this round. It was an excellent round watching one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world take on a much larger, stronger opponent who also is quite technical. I hope you guys enjoyed.